Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and this week we are hopefully going to get most of the tray buttoned up on the Frankenholler. All right, guys, welcome back. And before we get talking about the Frankenholler, I just thought I'd give you a little update on the Ferrari. I've actually been using it quite a bit. The handling that I mentioned last time when we were talking about it, it's all sorted. Basically, I hadn't actually given it a good wheel alignment. I realised I didn't have that much caster. The caster was uneven, and by giving it some caster, I set it to neutral toe and then just gave it a little tweak of toe in. So now it's actually handling really nicely, and the rear end's doing what it's supposed to do. I do have a crazy clunk when I brake. So there's something that's moving, and I cannot find it. I have had it up on the hoist so many times. I have spanner checked every single part of the suspension, and I cannot find where this clunk is coming from, and it's driving me crazy because it's definitely doing it. There's something that is loose, and it is, and there's, when I brake, it sort of makes a bit of a clunking noise, like there's something moving, but I can't find it. And yeah, nothing is loose, at least nothing that I can find. So that is a bit of a mystery at the moment. But besides that, our Ferrari is working, and I'm just using it, which is fantastic. So now, moving back onto the Frankenholler. As you saw last week, I built the basic frame of the tray for the Frankenholler. I am very happy with how that's come out. It is really coming together nicely. If you missed it, I'll put a link up above so you can catch up. Like always, do those things. Subscribe, like that video, and comment. It really does help out the crazy algorithm. Now, by far and away, the most common comment I got on last week's video was talking about putting wheels on the back of the tray. Despite in the video, at 3 separate occasions, I actually said I was putting wheels on the back. Yes, there are definitely wheels going on the back of the tray. So yeah, don't be worried about that. I'm just waiting for them to arrive. I have ordered them. They're just, they have to come. The round bar I put on the back, there are a couple of comments of people talking about sleeving it with a piece of metal tube. That's a terrible wheel. A straight bit of like pipe around the 20mm round bar. It's not going to roll very well at all. It's not really going to make much difference between that and just dragging the thing, which I'm not going to be doing anyway. As I mentioned last week as well, I am putting bits of skid plates underneath, which are going to be made out of, I can't remember the name of the plastic, but it's chopping board plastic. So it should slide quite nicely on and off of the back of the truck. Another thing that people were concerned about was the fact that I was dragging the tray all the way up at the highest angle. And when I'm actually putting a car on and off, yes, I will be lowering the tray and getting the nicest, flattest angle and all the rest of it. That's, yeah, definitely going to be the case. It's just while I'm playing around, I'm just dragging it on and off. It doesn't really matter. That is easy enough to balance at the time. Other comments, people were very concerned about the width of the tray being wider than the truck. And that's the minimum width I can really do it because of the wheels. It's got to be the width of the dual wheels on the back, and that's the width they are. So that's the width of the tray. That's it. It's wider than the cab, but it's not wider than the front wheel arches. The front wheel arches are actually a lot wider because it's the old style of cab. The wheel arches stick out further and the mirrors are going to stick out further, so it's not really a big issue. I was actually just looking at I think it was a Silverado yesterday, like a big modern monster truck thing, and it's got these steps coming out of the rear tub that stick out yay wider than the rest of the body, except for the mirrors. So yeah, that's not obviously an issue for modern cars, and yeah, that tray is going to be fine. That's what we need it to be. People are also concerned about the height of the tray. Obviously, might have missed the start of this whole process when I went through and did all of my measuring. And the height of the tray is as low as I can make it without the wheels being able to contact it at full bump. That is how I measured it and made it all work. So if I made it any lower, at full bump, the wheels can hit the tray, and that's going to be a bad situation all around. I do plan on lowering the truck slightly, and that is all accounted for. I'm not actually... I'll just remove a little bit of the travel at the rear, but I'm actually going to change the full bump height. So that is why the tray is where it is. And there's also the last thing is a lot of people seem concerned that the tray could tip over if you didn't put the car centered on it. But there is, even my little cars do not have that much room to move either side, and they couldn't get that center of gravity all the way off to one side. Now, nobody in their right mind is going to set the car all the way hanging off of one edge of the tray anyway. And even if they did, the center of the gravity, because of the width of the car already, it's not going to get past the this center area. So it's not going to tip over. It's not likely. And yeah, and nobody's going to be putting the car all the way over one side. It's just... that's just a bit of common sense that you're going to have to use when you're loading a truck, as you have to use common sense when you're loading a trailer with ramps, because obviously, you know, you can easily come off of the ramps, and it's not going to be a thing. It's not going to be an issue. Even my little cars are going to be, you know, only yay far from either side of the tray. So, you know, even if it's nothing. It's not going to be a problem. All right, so enough yabbering. Let's go over and I'll show you what we're going to tackle first thing this week. All right, so last week you saw that basically I've capped in this end of the rail, and you can see these tubes are actually open here. Now, these are open for a reason, is because the caps I'm going to make on this need to be the catches that stop this tray when you're unwinding it falling straight off of the back of this tilt bed. So I've had to sort of do a lot of thinking about it to design something that's going to catch the back of the tray, that obviously doesn't interfere with the stops that I've got, because the stops need to work in the forward location. So I'm going to make these catches on the outside of these rails. So there's lots of thought that I've been putting into this to get everything to clear each other and to do what it needs to do. Now, these stops also need to be able to clear the hinges that are on this tilt frame. So I have 60 millimeters from the slide bed of the tray coming down to here, and I need to also factor in that this tray could come off depending on the ground that it's going onto. So basically, as it comes off the tray, it could either be dead flat or it could be all the way like this. So I need to be able to work out a stop that works in any situation. I'm going to make the stopper, which will actually tie into the back here and come off here and catch onto some bar that I'm going to put into the back of the tilt frame. Now, it's not going to hold a crazy amount of weight, because basically all it's doing is stopping it sliding off the back. A lot of the weight is still going to be pressing down onto the tilt frame itself. So there's lots of things to think about when I'm coming up with the design. Let's start drawing something up in CAD and get onto the plasma table and see what we can cut out and make up. So start by taking some quick measurements and then head over to CAD to start designing up my catches. And then I can cut them out of a bit of 5mm steel plate. And as you can see here, it took a few iterations to get the design the way I wanted it. So I went through several iterations then, just trying to get the shape just right. And even still, I think I'm going to actually tweak these ones. I won't cut them out again. I can just tweak these. So this is going to ride vertically on the outside of the rail, and this edge is going to catch on a stopper that I'm going to put in, which is going to be 20mm round bar that's welded into the end with a cap on it that will sit over the outside. You'll see that in a bit. This front edge, I made it a taper in this direction. I don't like that. I'm going to actually taper it back and cut it from this. I've got there's a little tiny hook on the edge, and that will actually catch the round bar that's on there. I mean, it's going to have all the weight on it, so it's not actually going to, probably not even going to get to that little spot. That is actually lower than where it's going to be, but I'm going to cut this on an angle so that when it catches, it's going to want to tighten the bed onto the rail rather than this where it would potentially want to being on an angle. When it comes and hits the stopper like that, it's going to want to ride up. If I cut the angle back the other way, it's going to lock this tray down. Hopefully that makes some sense. So let's trim this off, weld them onto here, and then I'll show you how we're going to put the stoppers onto the rails themselves. So it's just a simple trim with the angle grinder on either side to get the angle that I want for these little catches. Not worth going through and doing all the CAD again and then cutting them out again and wasting more material. So now I need to go through, I'm just double checking and making sure I've got them spaced the correct distance apart so that they don't interfere with the rails when this is back on and sliding. Clean it all up and then I can tack them into place. And once I'm happy, I weld them in solid. And then can go through and clean everything up with the flap disc. Okay, so I have these both done now. Both ends are done. These are the caps. They should hold on nicely. So now I need to come on and put the stoppers that they're actually going to catch onto the back of this frame. So that means drilling a hole and putting in some 20mm rod. So let's do that. So this is the old adage of measure twice, cut once. So I measure, and then drill on either side. So I started drilling and I measured 23mm down for my hole because I want a 20mm tube. That's the center of the hole. I wanted only 13mm down. So 3mm for the top, and yeah, I want the thing at the top, and I'm measuring the wrong spot. So back and remeasure, re-drill, and make these a nice big 20mm hole, going all the way through so that I can get a nice solid connection for my stoppers, which are 20mm rod. Now these will actually be capped in later, the end of these rails. They will definitely be strong enough in the end, but for now they're tacked in and then welded solid, and I'm cooling everything off so that I don't melt my plastic runners. Although, to be fair, the amount I've welded near these things, these are super solid and don't seem to be melting at all with all the heat I'm putting in. Alright, so we have our rods in the end. Now these ends are going to be capped. I still need to work out exactly what I'm going to do as far as that goes, but we've got these on either side now. So basically they're set up so that they can catch the tray as it's coming backwards and not slide all the way off. So I think now I've done basically everything I can do on the underside of this tray. So I think it's time to flip it over and get it back onto the truck. So I flipped the tray back over with my bit sketchy methods, but you can see here I now test out my locks, and it locks exactly as I hoped it would. So you can see here that the stopper, it's caught the tray on the very end, so it can't slide any further off of the back of the ramp. That is perfect. That's exactly what I need. That will do the job very, very nicely. So now I might winch it back onto the truck and make sure the front edge clears, everything clears the way it's supposed to, and we're all good. All right, so the structure of the bed is almost there. Most of the bits are there. So we have the sliders to slide on and off, as you've seen. We have locks front and rear. So as the tray comes all the way on, it locks in. This is now, the tray is solid locked to this frame. But at the moment, the only thing holding the frame down is just the weight of it, basically. The hydraulics can still lift up, and the tray can still slide rearwards. So the winch is not a sufficient stop to hold it on there. It's going to stay on there as well, but you can't rely on just having the winch as the only thing to hold it on. I need it so that basically when it comes down, it locks in, and I want it to lock in this top frame. Forget the tilting frame altogether. That's irrelevant now. I want to actually lock the bed to the chassis of the truck so that, when you're driving along, it is locked in. It can't go backwards or forwards or side to side, and it can't go up, can't go down, it can't go anywhere. So that got me thinking for ages of what I'm going to use to lock it. Now, I need something that's a spring lock that will just latch by itself. One of the things that my engineer was big about was making sure that it locks automatically. So it can't be something that you have to engage when it's down. It needs to, spring lock, clip in. And I was looking at all different versions of things, and this is what I came up with. This is actually for tipper trucks, and as you can see here, it's got this sliding piece, and this will slide down and lock in there. This is 19mm steel. It's super heavy duty. It's built for like big tipper tailgates, which would hold many tons of stuff. So I think this is going to be more than enough for the weight that we've got here. Now I have these for both sides, and these are on a they've got an angled cam there, you can see. So as you twist it, it helps you sort of pull it back rather than having to just wrench against the spring. It's a very heavy spring. What I'm thinking is I'm going to have these down under here somewhere, and I'm going to have some sort of bar connecting two of these so that I can pull them both in the same direction or push them both, and it will unlock both sides at the same time, and then I can raise my bed up. So as far as locating the bed, what I decided is square tubing is going to be perfect. So this piece is going to be welded to this, and this is going to be welded into my tray and all triangulated in and locked in. What I found is I got some even heavier square tube. This tube here is going to be the tube that I have mounted to the chassis. This tube is going to come down and go inside the other tube, and that will locate it. So make sure it comes down nice and square and even, locks in, and this being locked to the chassis, it's not going to go anywhere. So that's my thinking. So now I have to work out how I'm going to connect all of this stuff together. So I've been pondering how I'm going to go about this for several months now, and coming up with different ideas in my head, but sometimes it's just a matter of starting to cut the metal and put it together and see what sort of comes of it. And the further I go, the more I can actually work out how it will actually function. And the plan did change several times over this, but I think in the end I came up with something that really works. So now I can see my plan is starting to come together. So I'm welding in a bit of the structure now, solid, because I won't be able to get to this part later. And so this is the lower receiver tube, if you want to call it that, and I am tilting the rearward edge so that it acts as a bit of a guide for the upper tube. And you can sort of see it here as I'm mocking it up, and then trimming it down to get rid of some of the excess weight that's not really adding to the structure I need for this piece. And now I'm preparing the mounts to actually
weld it on and hold it into place. Now, as you can see, it is spaced off of the sliding rail because I need space for those catches that I welded on just earlier to be able to slide past.
All right, so I spent several hours now sitting around working out exactly how I'm going to make all of this work. And as you can see, I have tapered this front edge so that it gives it a little bit of a guide to make the mount go into. But this is the part that is welded onto the chassis. So I've got this bit of angle here. I stepped it out with some heavy duty 25mm box because I needed this gap here to be allow the stops to slide past. So that all had to be thought about. And so this is the lower receptacle. Now I can weld the upper square tubing piece onto this bar here and triangulate it, and that will lock down this part of the tray and actually lock the tray down into these holes. So that'll stop it going backwards and forwards, left, right, etc. But I still need to mount my catches here somewhere to be able to lock the tray down and clip the tray in when we lower it. So I've gone backwards and forwards on how the lock is going to work, and you can see this is the lower portion. So what I'm looking at now is this part is going to latch onto the outside of this upper tube here. Now I need to make a brace that will hold this piece here and let it come down and lock in so that this will lock into place. But I need to be able to have a bar that joins onto the top of this that can travel across to the other side so you can actuate both at once, because you're never going to open this if you can only do one at a time. You can't lock them open. So you need to be able to have them connected together so you can go unlock and they both unlock, and then you can lift the tray up. So lots of thought has gone into this to try and get it in the right area. So now I need to start mocking up some sort of bracket to lock this in, and the guide I can do later. That's the easy bit. I'll do that last.
So a lot of this is flying by the seat of my pants, but basically it's a matter of cutting some stuff out and seeing how everything works, making sure there's enough clearance for the latch to open and close. And you can see here I'm making these mounts. It's really heavy, solid 5mm thick angle that I'm making the mount out of, and weld that all together on the bench into a bracket and connect it up to the latch itself.
All right, so with the handle up this way, the issue I'm having is that it doesn't retract that far because it interferes here. I'm going to put a lever on the bottom of it so you can get it go that way a lot further. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this handle around, but I still need to be able to have a piece that comes up and goes across to the other side to be able to tie the two together. And it's obviously got to go above this, because this is all attached to the sliding piece, so it can't go underneath, obviously. It's got to go above, and I can sort of make something that I weld onto the side here that makes the pivot. That I've still got to design, but first of all, I'm going to flip this handle over the other way and tack on the piece to go down in here, and we should be almost ready to roll.
So with the latch now mocked up, I've got a piece of round tube that I am going to notch out so that I can weld it onto the latch and make myself a bit of a handle.
All right, so this is going to be my handle. So everything is still just clamped in, but this is going to sit under here. Okay, so I have just tacked the handle on. At first I tacked it offset because I wanted to be able to use the handle in both directions, but I'm not going to get enough travel to do that. Basically, if you have a look at this way, I can actually cut this down a bit further so I can get even more travel. But I can pull this a long way that way, but it's going to interfere somewhere. Before I had it slightly in the center of both, but it didn't pull this back far enough. So now that pulls in and out long enough that it can actually engage nicely and make a nice lock. So what I'm going to have is I'm going to have this sort of handle on both sides connected by a linkage. And when I pull this, This one you're going to have to pull this way like this. The other one you're going to have to push. From the other side you'll push, but it'll be the same direction and it'll all work and we'll be able to get this unlocked. So let's just try it now and see how it goes, locking and unlocking. Hey! I love it when a plan comes together. That's fantastic. So I have to pull the lever and start raising. And it'll raise up and then I can just lower it down and it self-locks, which is exactly what I needed it to do. It is very, very nice when it just works the way it was planned. It's coming down, and locked. That is awesome.
So now the latch is done, I just need to make the upper part of the lock. This part attaches to the sliding bed, and this will lock into the lower receiver that I made earlier.
All right, as you saw, this fits nicely in. That's a locator that locks this tray in. So we've got these locks that lock it down to the crossbar. This also locks it down to the chassis. So this is locked down to the chassis, and then this locks it in also to the chassis and stops it from going rearward. So it's all locked in nice and solid. This is big 5mm solid steel. Now I need to make another reinforcing onto this, and it all should hopefully just work the way it's supposed to work.
So with one side done and the process all worked out, it's much quicker and easier to go through and do the exact same thing on the other side. The only thing that is different is that the latch is a different orientation.
So I have the other side all tacked on, matching where I am on this side. But on this one, I've actually tacked on a rod that I can push down. So you can sort of see it's all just sort of cobbled together at the moment. But basically, I need to be able to tilt this in this direction because that one comes in this direction so that they would, when I join them together, they will both go at the same time. But I'm happy with the layout of this at the moment. What we need to have a little play with now is see if we can connect the two up so you can operate both locks from either side. And how I'm going to do that is I look through my collection. I've got a couple of rod ends. I am going to set them up on a rod that goes across, and that way we can have a little bit of adjustability to get the tension just right.
So I decided to just make the tabs to hold the rod ends by hand, as they're very simple little pieces, and just cut them out. I will grind them to shape later once I know exactly what I need. And once I've got the right orientation, I just tack them to the top of my tubes. I measure up a bit of rod that I had lying around and get it over onto the lathe and just drill some holes into the end of it. Not a very good camera angle, but you get the picture. And then I just tack it to the nuts that are on the rod ends.
So you can see here this rod that I've joined in the middle. I turned it down on the lathe either end to basically drill a hole so that my rod ends would fit inside, then welded on a nut on either side, and now they both work together. So if I pull it from this side or I go around the other side, I can do it from there as well and unlock the tray. So let's give it a go. Unlock. It's unlocked. Lower it. Come out. Sliding in. And they lock. Bang, bang. And that is now locked in, and this is rock solid. this is all going to work beautifully. And this still sits underneath the actual tray, so it sits in this tiny little gap here. Now, one thing I think I might do is I might want to add a micro switch in here that will disable the hydraulic ram when the locks are engaged, so you can't activate the ram and bend and break things, because obviously that's going to make a mess. Last thing I want to do is I actually want to just make sure I can cycle all the way off, that these handles don't catch on anything or do anything. Let's just double check that that all works the way it's supposed to. All right, it's all working. Beautiful, so good.
And before I forget, the last thing I have to do is I still had to build the upper lock for the other side.
I am very happy with the result of the tray. The lock works, it does what it's supposed to do. I'm very happy with that. I may rearrange the handles in different orientation. Depends on what happens when I start putting bodywork on this, because there will be some bodywork, but that can come later. I'm not overly concerned about that right now. The main thing is it works. It's doing what it's supposed to do. This will all sit underneath the actual tray. That lock system works, and I'm quite happy that it's going to be a nice, secure base. Now, I'm still waiting on the wheels to turn up. I do actually have the bed, so make sure you join us next week to see that. But as far as the rest of it goes, it's 34 degrees at the moment, and probably another 5 or 10 degrees hotter in this shed. Yeah, I am melting, and I can't face welding this all solid now, so you'll have to wait till next week. And for now, I think that means it's time for fun facts, and this is Jeff.
Hey guys, in 1966, after 2 years of production, Ford Advanced Vehicles in Slough ceased building the GT40. JW Automotive Engineering took over the Slough factory and started producing strictly road-going versions of the GT40 known as the Mark III. There were many external changes from the earlier cars. The headlights were replaced with brown sealed beams to comply with safety regulations, and the rear was extended to provide a boot. The interior was fitted with more upholstery, and the engines used were the simpler 4.8 litre V8s found in the Shelby Mustang. Unfortunately, the fit and finish of these vehicles did not match the no-expense spared Ford-produced cars. As such, only 7 or 8 of these Mark IIIs were ever produced.
All right, I am very happy with the progress this week. Basically, the structure of the entire bed is done. I need to finish welding up, but the locks are done, and the guides and everything is all done. I'm very happy with that. Too hot to finish welding it out yesterday. And
we are having a heat wave.
It's quite hot here as well. By the end of summer, this is, early 30s is not necessarily that hot, but at the start, it really feels sweltering.
It's still unusual for where we are.
Yeah.
It's not.
We're a little bit colder than Sydney, thankfully. But a big thanks to Jackie from France, who actually sent me through this classic, I believe it's a classic French number plate that was on his split window Corvette that he owned at one stage, which I'm sure he wishes he still owned. But that's the only photo he's got of it. And with the plate on it. Thank you very much, Jackie. That will definitely take pride of place up on the wall. And if any of you have got any of these plates, you can send them through to Home Built by Jeff, PO Box 1520, Bowral, New South Wales, 2576, Australia. And I will happily add them to the collection. So, again, thank you to Jackie, and thank you to all you guys.
Merci beaucoup. And yes, add to the ever-growing collection of Jeff's Garage. As always, subscribe, like, comment on Jeff's videos, and Patreon to see the videos a day early. Ugh, windy.
With no ads.
With no ads.
All right, guys. So, yeah.
Bye, guys.
No, you said production twice.
I did. But you've got production twice.
Do I?
2 years of production, ceased production. After 2 years of production, Ford advanced. Like, my God, I can't do it now. 2 years of production, Ford